Now, Liz, welcome
Hi.
to the Wedding Business Podcast. I'm so excited that you're here. I'm excited you said yes.
I'm excited to be here. I'm honoured that you asked, and honoured to be here.
For people who don't know who you are, which I'm sure there's not many, can you give us a little overview of you and your business?
Okay, my name is Liz Inigo Jones. I run a company called Blue Sky Flowers, and I have been a florist for about 20 years, which every time I say that, I think, 20 years, what? But I had a career beforehand in magazines. I worked at One of Interiors, Nail Decoration, and I loved it and it was great, but I'd done the same thing for a long time. So I just needed to change and do something different. So through one thing or another, I met a friend of a friend who was a florist and a gardener, started working for him part-time when my son was a couple of years old. And I just saw it as a way of just getting into something new and learning and just see how it goes. And, that was it. I didn't know where it was going to end up. Worked for him for a couple of years and loved it. But I wasn't doing hands-on floristry. I was more helping him with marketing and merchandising and being his second person and stuff like that, and I learned an awful lot from the team there. It was brilliant. But I needed to change. So his company changed. I left. And I said to my husband, well, I could go back and work in another office, but I don't really want to. And I'd really like to do this. And he went, okay, fine. So I did that. And 20 years later, I'm still here hanging on,
Thank goodness you are.
So it wasn't planned. I wish I'd done it a long time ago. I wish I'd done it earlier and it was my career, but I had no idea it existed. People don't think floristry is a career. They just, I don't know where they think we come from, but you don't choose it.
No. As a child, were you like an outdoors child? Were you someone who connected with the flowers and the bees?
My dad always grew flowers and plants. He was always in his greenhouse, mostly hiding probably from my mum, but he was mostly in his greenhouse growing things. I was helping him, but I can't say it was one of those idyllic childhoods where I just gambled through the fields and thought, oh, daisies, lovely, let me put them into a posy. I wasn't like that at all. It was much more about finding the worms and eating them and building mud pies and stuff like that. So I was a bit of a tomboy, but I always remember having a garden that had colourful flowers in it and lots of stuff going on. There was always something coming up. So I got into gardening, which is how I then did that sort of route to somebody else. I like garden design, designed ours, designed some other friends, and thought, I could do this, So it was the garden side of things, the growing part of it, which ironically now I don't want to have anything to do with because I can't keep anything alive. I'm fine to cut things, but I'm not very good at making things live. So.
Brilliant. Well, that gives us all immense faith in our own abilities, Liz. If you can't keep something alive, then I feel like I'm excused.
I get bored. That's the problem. Lockdown last year, I was like, right, pick seeds, thousands of seeds, lots of things sowed, planted, like this. After about 2 weeks, I was like, oh, I can get cut flowers now. I don't need these. I can go.
I just drown everything. I'm like a plant version of an overfeeder. I just want to water everything so it grows instantly. Very impatient.
Yeah, I just neglect everything. So I'm the opposite.
So let's go back then to Liz out on your own as your own floristry gig. Where did that first booking come from?
Okay. The first one for me is myself. When I left Woodham's, I went out on my own and I contacted all the people that I had worked with in my interior design days. So all the designers, all the people, all the journalists that I knew, I contacted everyone and said, look, I'm now a florist. Ta-da! If you ever need flowers, let me know. And one of the girls that I used to work with was getting married. And she said, oh, you can do my wedding flowers. And I was like, yes. Oh my God, I don't know what to do, but that's fine. So I did, which was Syon Park,
Oh, lovely. Yep. Wow.
15 tables, tons of bridesmaids and everything. It was amazing. And one of the girls that I had worked with helped me in their van, bizarrely. So it was so uncool at all. But that was my first wedding. So it was quite a major thing. It was all on my dining room table. And it was kind of trial by fire, but I loved it. It just showed me that, oh, I could do this, and it was brilliant. And then I have to say the next probably 5-6 years, what I did was what people wanted, but it wasn't great shakes. I look back on some of the images that I must have done then, and yeah, if I could get rid of the first lot of my working life as a florist, I would just hide it, because I'm not terribly proud of it. But it's what you all do in the early days. You try things, you test things out, you think it looks okay at the time, and then you look back at it and go, God, that was awful.
Yeah, I'm sure many people listening are like, oh, that's me. I've deleted things from my Instagram account that cannot see the light of day anymore.
Yep, we're not having that on there. Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Was it that you said yes to doing things you didn't really want to do, or was it because you hadn't carved your signature style?
Very much the latter. And I didn't know that you were supposed to have a signature style. And I think that is a current thing. I think that's last 5 years or so, you're supposed to have a look, a style, a voice that people know you for. In the early days, there was no Instagram, there was no Facebook. I'm so ancient. There was none of that kind of stuff. So you just did. You made flowers. Somebody said, "Oh, I quite like pinks and purples." You go, "Fine, okay, right. I'll go and buy some pinks and purples and put them together." And that was it. And you did. And you turned your hand to anything you had to do. People asked you what should they have, and you said, "Well, this, because it's around, this is current." You just did it, off the hook. You just made things up. There was no planning and talking to people about what they wanted and finding out their likes and dislikes. It was like, what do you want? Okay, fine, I'll do that. You turned your hand to everything. And there's nothing wrong with doing that now, because when needs must, and over the last year we've all shown that if somebody wants something and you need to earn money, you do it. But there is a kind of quality control, I think, now that comes into things, and you feel that you want it to be, you want your work to reflect you at every point. Yes, we do things that don't get on the grid, and yes, we do things that don't get in our portfolios, but we try and keep those away from it, and they're the essentials that we just get by with.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure lots of people are relieved to hear, oh, well, if Liz has done that, then it's okay if I've done that. But you're right, it's the reality of running a business, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
You mentioned Sion. I know you've worked at some amazing venues. I know you've worked with amazing wedding planners. How on earth did you go from that first wedding at Sion to carving relationships with venues and planners? What was the process that you had to go through?
To be honest, I can't remember how it was before Instagram.
Yeah, I think that as well.
I remember there were networking groups, and there were networking things that you got together. We probably just phoned each other or emailed or whatever, and we just said, "Oh, so and so's having a gathering, let's go to this," or "There's an opening of so and so, let's go to that." And that's how you did it. You met people there. I've always, from my advertising days, I suppose, I've always been a bit of a networker. I never particularly liked it. The idea of walking into a room full of people, whether you know them or not, freaks me out. Even now, I will always say, "Let's go together. I'll meet somebody at a pub. Let's go together. I'll see you at the entrance. I'll see you when you put your coat in, and we'll go in together. I don't want to walk in on my own." The people that do that, hats off to you. I don't know how you do it, but I still hate it. Even if I know there's 10 people in there waiting for me, I don't want to go in on my own. So I've always done it, but hated it at the same time. So meeting people, talking to them, just finding out what makes them tick, what they like. And I mean, in a commercial way, you're basically stalking people that you want to work with, whether it's whether it's Instagram and you're messaging them, or you're emailing them, or you're commenting on their posts or whatever. You do it in a nice way, obviously, but there'll be people hopefully listening to this will go, "Yeah, she's done that to me before," but it is not because not just because I want work from them. It's because I want to get to know people and to expand my repertoire, my group of people that I work with. I do styled shoots for the same reason. I'm happy to work and collaborate on things like that, as we've all done, as a way of practicing ideas that I haven't done before, and look that I haven't done before, working at a new venue, working with a new photographer, finding a cake. I've had wedding recommendations from cake people before, cake designers that I've worked with on a shoot, and they've said, "Oh, this person will be good for you, make contact." That's amazing. And I do the same thing. I will always recommend somebody that I've worked with. because I've seen their work, I've tasted it, I've held it, I've looked at it, I've looked at the dress, you know, and that's the best way of getting on. So to answer your question about how do you elevate yourself from this to that, you just have to kind of make those connections, and it can be easier and more difficult depending on the people that you want to get in contact with, because some of them will have their little coterie of suppliers that they will only work with. And it's quite nice to sometimes be able to get in that little circle, and you never quite know whether you're there or not, you know, and then you think you're there and then you're not there, you know.
Yes.
You know, but you just have to, and do it for the right reasons. Don't just think, okay, I'm going to target photographers, I'm going to target planners, and email 20,000 photographers, you know, because most of them will just go, oh, I've got time. Target the ones that you appreciate, that you like the work of, that you really do want to work with them, that you like the way they shoot things. There's no point working with somebody and then saying, oh, could you just do it a bit lighter or a bit darker, or I don't really quite like that angle, or you know, or planners that you don't actually like the style of, because when they then come to you with a wedding and you go, I don't like that look, well, you've got yourself there. So, you know, and hopefully they'll use you. If you're a florist, they'll use you because of what you do.
Yeah, absolutely.
They won't come to you and say, I mean, you've probably had people come to you and say, I really want to work with you, Faye, because I've heard about you and I think you're brilliant and you're great. Could you just shoot it a bit like this, you know? And you think, why are you talking to me? There's 10 people I could recommend, you know?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Styled shoots are an amazing opportunity. I mean, that's properly how I met you for the first time, was a styled shoot. And but it's easy to get it wrong, isn't it? It's easy to say yes to the wrong thing and then think, oh crikey, I'm not on the same page as these people. Not because what they're thinking about is bad, but just because you've got to really follow what you want to create and find people that are on the same page as you as that.
Absolutely.
Sure. I think what you're touching on there, which is really important, is and I hate this word as well, but the network and building rapport with the people around you, because it is invaluable. It's frustrating when you're back at day one and you don't have allies in the industry and nobody really knows about you, but you have to start somewhere, don't you? You have to start with that first shoot, or that first DM that you send someone, or that first, you know, can I come and assist you? And you've got to start somewhere.
Yeah, and even making a community within your amongst your peers. You know, I know so many florists now that 15 years ago I would have thought, oh, why do I know so many florists? Why would I want to work with them? They're my competitors. That we're going we're going about the same job. So why would we be friends? Why would we get on? You know, and there was very much this kind of like, well, I do this and you do that, and maybe it was the same photographers and planners, because you're all after the same, especially in London, you're after the same pot. There's a lot of things around, but you all want the same thing. But as soon as you realize you've got your style, they've got their style, you're not going to be up against the same thing. Sometimes you are, and that's down to the planners maybe putting two of you together, and you perhaps shouldn't be, but you know, you're all going to be at different things. But also build that community of people, because they will help you out. I've helped other florists have come and helped me. I've got a job on a day that I can't do, so I'll suggest it to somebody else, to the bride. I'll suggest, talk to this person, because I think they would do what you want from me very well. It works both ways. It works all around, you know, and that's another way. And although it seems a little bit counterintuitive to make friends with florists that, you know, you might be up against, you can help each other as well. So, you know, use all of the contacts you've got in the right way.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Agree more. There's a lot of talk about breaking into the luxury market, like almost like it's a destination that we arrive on a bus. What do you think this means, and like how do people know when they get there? Do they ever get there?
I think it means different things to different people. Firstly, I think the luxury market to me is destination weddings, budgets with almost no end, flower on flower things in terms of florists, you know, amazing but stunningly incredible dresses, and crystal everything. It's and to be honest, that's not really where I am. I'm sort of probably at the middle to lower end of the luxury bit, and I don't really want to be there, because that's not really my kind of look. There's lots of people that do it brilliantly, but it's not really. I'd rather be in the sort of middle of it. I get really good budgets for a lot of the weddings that I do, but it's not so much how many flowers can you get in there for that. It's creating a look. It's creating something that works for the venue and for the bride and for the look and for the whole aesthetic of the thing. So it goes with the mood board that they work. And that's, so it's not just about the budget, it's about the whole look of it. So luxury to me doesn't mean it's big money. It means it's understanding that job. It's interpreting what the planner, the bride, the couple, the parents, whatever it is, whoever it is interpreting that in the right way. And having the right budget, which doesn't necessarily mean it's got to be hundreds of thousands, having the right budget for what you want can make it luxury. You can do a luxury wedding for $3,000 if all they want is what's available for $3,000. You know, if you've got $3,000 but you want 10 grand's worth of wedding, there's no way that's going to be luxury. That's going to be very sparse and very pared down. But you could do a beautiful look, but not very much money, as long as you understand where that money has to be spent.
Yeah, I think that's such a good
and spending it in the right way, and not having piddly little bits all over the place to make it look like you've got a lot. Go for something statement, go for something bigger that makes everyone go, oh, God, you can't miss that. That's incredible. You know, that's at the entrance. So whether it's, you have an amazing arch, but then the tables are actually very pared back and very, very, because you want that statement. You've always wanted that statement. You can have pictures outside, it's going to be in all the images, but the tables are actually all about the food and the people and the interaction. So it's just pacing yourself throughout your wedding and spending the money where you think it's going to work the best.
Oh, so many good things in what you've just said there. I think I'm just going to pull a few bits out. I think you're absolutely right about luxury as a perception, and it changes from one person to the next, which is why I say, you know, is this a place that we arrive at? You know, my version of luxury isn't a wedding. Like, if I think of the weddings that I've shot, the ones that I would consider luxury are the ones that just make me feel like I'm in the right place. Like, oh my God, this is it. And that is not tied to the budget, because I've done some crazy budget weddings and actually didn't love it, because I didn't really think, oh, this isn't really me. This isn't what I would put my money on. Yes. You know, they've been phenomenal, but they're not, you know, they don't really hit the spot for me. And I think actually a florist, and this is from a photographer's perspective, a florist who can interpret a budget and a style and create something magic on that is, we sigh with relief as photographers when we have a florist that does that. It makes our job very easy.
I think you were going to talk about the relationships that you make with people as well at that end, and I think that is all important. The planners that I work with, because the bigger, more involved weddings tend to have a planner involved. Not always, but they tend to. So where there's a planner involved and they get me, they understand me, they appreciate and they like what I do. They know their client well enough to be able to say, that's the person for you, that's the cake maker for you, that's the photographer for you, that's the florist for you. Not, here's 4 people and you go and decide, because then they're not doing their job.
That for me is a luxury wedding, having a planner that can facilitate that sort of relationship building between the client, because it's hard. Like, I've been married 14 years. I don't remember going through a process of choosing my florist. I obviously did, but if I had to start now, I don't. Do you know what I mean? It's like it would be easy for me because I work in the industry, but it's quite tough for our couples to really get to the grit, I think, of what's important to them.
Yeah, exactly. And there's sometimes too much information. There's Pinterest and there's Instagram and there's a whole host of other directories and blogs and things out there, and that sounds great. You've got all this information, but actually it's too much sometimes. How do they choose? I couldn't choose, as you say. I don't know how
tough,
I choose.
isn't it? Going back to this idea of having relationships with planners, because I know there'll be loads of florists and indeed other suppliers listening thinking, oh my God, I would love a relationship with a planner. I would love a planner to put me forward for jobs. Has your relationship with your planners been was that a big sort of shift in your business when you started to have those relationships?
I guess it was, because I could probably say the last 10 years is when I've been working with planners. Before that, I did different weddings. They didn't change overnight, but they've definitely changed in just the respect that people have for you, and say, okay, you've been doing this for a long time. You know, I'm not going to come to you and say, you know, they're spending X on everything else, but actually they've only got this for flowers, and we just need a few flowers, you know. And I've scrabbled around, and I've done the small weddings, and I've done the ones where you're chasing your tail with everything. And I don't say it in a smug way, but I don't need to do those anymore. I still do small weddings, but it's when I know that the bride and the groom really want me to do what I do. It doesn't matter about the money. Yeah. They've found me, they want me, they trust me to do that. So when it comes to a planner that says, right, I want you to do your thing, I trust you to do that because I know that the bride's going to like it, that's when the relationship works. You know, the ones that might come to you and say, oh, the bride can't decide what she wants, and so I'm putting 3 people up in every category. You need to find out a bit more about your client. Yeah. You know, you need to just investigate it a bit more and hone it down. That's why they've kind of come to you, because if they can't decide and they've come to you, you've got to help them decide.
Yeah.
So I was just going to say, I sometimes have brides come to me direct, and they have no idea what to do about flowers. They say, oh, I don't know about flowers. That's fine. That's why you're here. You know, yeah. I don't know about dresses, so I'd go to somebody who's an expert. Yeah. So you're coming to me about flowers. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. I will work out what will work for you seasonally and everything else. And they say, well, I quite like pinks, but I actually really quite like blues as well, and I like quite like this. And you have to just ask those questions, which Wedding Business Club will tell you. You have to ask the questions of your people, of your clients, because if you don't, what are you going to do? You can't give them 20 ideas. You've got to give them an idea that works for them. Otherwise, they won't choose you. Yeah. So you've got to hone it down. And even if it's just over email or a quick phone call, you say, okay, can I just ask you why this, why that? What does that mean to you? You know, you've got to ask those questions. And then suddenly they'll go, actually, do you know what? I don't really like blue now because I think it might be a bit cold. There you go.
Brilliant. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think questions are really important, not just for like us selling to our couples, but also us, you know, making friends in our industry. So that first time when you met a planner, you know, I'm sure you went through that rapport building process of asking questions about, you know, what are the weddings you're interested, what you know, what's your dream wedding? Yes. Yeah. And I think it's a good thing to tune into, how to build rapport with other people in the industry, because exactly, I know a lot of people don't feel like doing it or are scared to do it. What's your advice for people who are like, oh, but I'm a florist and I just enjoy being here with my flowers and I don't want to reach out to people because I'm scared?
What they're scared of is people saying no. That's what we're all scared of. We're scared of asking a question and somebody going no. I'm probably talking 12, 14 years ago, I decided I was going to email, because I don't think we had all the other kind of things then. I emailed about 10 planners and just said, hi, you know, I'm me, this is what I do. I work mainly in London. I explained all about myself. I attached a couple of pictures of things that I've done. Probably was the wrong move at the time, considering the rubbish that I was doing then. But anyway, but I'd really love to work with you. And I know you probably have your little group of suppliers, blah, blah. But, you know, it'd be really nice. Maybe if you're in town one day, we could grab a coffee, you know, very nice, open-ended, you know, I'd love to hear from you. Out of 10 people, I had a couple of people come back and say, oh, that sounds lovely, but we never actually got anywhere. I had a couple that said, yes, let's meet, and we did work together eventually for different things. Quite a few just didn't do anything. I had one, quite a decent sized planner, who shall remain nameless, who came back to me and said, thank you very much for your email, but I have people that I like to use with, thank you. And I felt like she'd slapped me around the face through the email. I actually felt sick at that. It was such a horrid thing to say. It was so unnecessary. Yeah. That I thought, oh, okay, fine. I hope you don't ever need me one day, because I don't think I'm going to be very nice to you. So, and I did think, why would you do that to somebody? It's
Yeah.
really, it was really, it was unnecessary. So I think that's what we're afraid of. We're afraid of that no, that, oh, why do I need you? Why do you
Yeah.
think you need, I need you? Why do I need you? But you never know who you're going to need.
No.
You never know who you're going to need until you need them.
Yeah.
And then one day, I mean, I've had planners call me and say, oh, my bride's been moved. Apparently, she's getting married in so-and-so, but she's now having a registry office in London. Can you possibly help? And I go, yeah, of course I can. You know, I can do that. That's fine. And you have to just be there for people. You have to just help out where you can and reach out to those people. Do it by whatever form, but do your research first. Do your background work first. Find out what their weddings are like. Are they the sort of weddings that you want to do? Are they in the areas that you would do? There's no point targeting somebody who works in Northampton and you're based in Surrey, you know, and you don't want to travel. Find out if they're right for you. Find out if the sort of florist they use now, you would sit yourself alongside as well. Are they the same? Look, can you offer anything different to them? Can you look at something they've done and think, I would have done that differently, but I think it would still work. See if, almost like imagine a conversation that you would have with them and think, if they ask me certain things, how would I answer? How would I feel comfortable talking to them about these things? And you almost have to sort of try and imagine a relationship before it happens. Sounds very stalkerish. I'm really sorry about that.
No, not at all. This is gold. I'm loving it.
You have to sort of put yourself in the position of, okay, what if they said yes? And they said, right, this is the wedding I've got. Am I prepared for that? Can I do that? Do I like their look? Do I like their style? If they said, this is what I want. Oh, I don't do arches, you know. Well, then why are you talking to a planner that does arches in every single wedding? You know, yes. Get with it. So find the people that are right for you. There are lots of planners out there, and everybody wants to have their little black book of people that they love. So you'll find your people.
Yeah. I mean, you have to be relentless and you have to be patient all in one, which is a really hard place to find. And you never, like, there's no happy medium. You're either doing one or the other. And of course, then you have that juggle of keeping your head straight when you are getting rejections or the bookings aren't coming in.
Yeah.
It takes quite a special combination of all those energies to actually get past that, doesn't it?
It does. And actually, another thing I would suggest, which you just kind of made me think about, the way, when do you approach these people? Because we're all either, I mean, if this was a normal year and last year was a normal year, we'd all be run off our socks, and we'd get to sort of January and we'd go, oh, right, I'm not busy very, very much. I should need to contact people, you know. And they're probably all just thinking, oh, God, I just don't want to talk about weddings for about 6 weeks because I'm in that. I would suggest you, when you're feeling up and when you're feeling good, when you've probably just done a really good wedding and you're really proud of something you've done, that's the time to channel it and contact people. If you're feeling like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to do next, and I don't know where the next work's coming from, and I don't know what I'm going to do, and panic, and then you start emailing people, that panic's going to come over in your voice. You need to channel the happy place, and you need to channel, okay, I'm good at this. I'm bloody good at this. Look at what I did last weekend. Look at what we did. Look at what we created, and look at what we're going to do next week. It's going to be amazing. Somebody needs to know about this. So, you know, or you've just got some pictures in from a shoot, or you've just got wedding pictures back in, you know. And you can't, you know, if they're private things, you can't send them out. But a couple of pictures of flowers, you can send to planners and say, just wanted to, you know, I feel like this might be something that you would like to just update you. And not even a let's meet for coffee. I just wanted to say hi and let you know what I'm up to at the moment, like this. And they're like, they're probably thinking, well, why aren't you asking me to go out? Or why do you want to meet for, you know, what is it with me?
It's a really good point that you make, actually, is that consistency of showing up and doing the same thing even if last time it didn't work. You know, I have people land in my inbox every week, Faye, can I come and second shoot with you? I'd love to, you know, I'll do it, I'll show up, it doesn't matter where, which is lovely, and it's really nice to connect with those people. But often, and I reply to everybody, but often it will be one time only. And the people that actually stay in touch time and time again, I mean, I'm fortunate, so I have a second shooter, my permanent, so I don't have capacity for others. But that second shooter is somebody who emailed me time after time after time. She reached out to me, she complimented my work, she would just touch base on things or bounce ideas. And she became my second shooter. So it's not rocket science to say that simply it was that person built rapport with me.
Yeah. And it's being there for people. It's being there when they might have an answer, a question that you can ask. They might have a last minute request. They might have been let down by somebody.
Yeah.
And you sort of have to learn to read the people that are doing it as a last minute thing, and those that are thinking, she'll do it because she always does it. You know, you have to learn to read those, because there are some people who will just take and take and take, and they won't give back.
Yeah.
And I'm a pretty good judge of character, and I know I can tell those people now. But in the early days, I did too much for some people, and you learn.
Yeah, it's just too easy to say yes, isn't it, in the early stages, and you forget to say no sometimes.
Yeah.
Liz, when an inquiry lands in your inbox, how do you know, oh, blimmin' heck, this is exciting, I'm up for this one, and how do you know this is, I'm not the right florist for this person?
How do I know it's not me, or how do I know it is me?
Both, please.
Right. Okay. I have a contact form on my website, so most people come that way. Some direct message me on Instagram, some just email me randomly. So if they've come through the form, hopefully they'll have filled in as much information as they can. If they email and there's not enough information, I'll email back and say I need a bit more. I'll try and set up a call with them. But the initial bit that they send you usually tells you enough. If they do send you, this is the venue, these are the colours, this is the idea, this is what I'm thinking of, here's an image, it gives you an idea. I still, even now, 20 years on, find it very difficult to say no to anything. Just putting that out there. I find it, because it's business, and it's like they've come to me, I have to say yes. No, you don't have to say yes. You have to say yes to the right things. But I do find it very difficult to say no to things. So even when it's, if it's something that's obviously not my look and obviously not my style, and it's hey, I wondered if you're available for a wedding in October next year, probably 20 other people have got that email today as well.
Yeah,
so,
there's just write Liz at the top, please. Yeah, I think
it doesn't take much to do it, So, I'm never rude enough to ignore it, and I'm never rude enough to come back and say, excuse me, did you mean me? I wouldn't do anything to call them out, but I would just go, hi, thanks for your inquiry. Here's my wedding brochure. Let me know if you'd like to talk further. I wouldn't invest too much time in it.
Yeah.
If they've given me masses of information and it's still a hey, I think, okay, well, that looks like it could be the right kind of thing. So I'll send them my brochure, and I'll say, this is the sort of information that I would need from you, and let's arrange a time to talk. I'll do that pretty much with most inquiries, because until you get to the stage of knowing more about it, you don't know what it's going to look like, or what it's going to be, or anything like that. If it's a venue I desperately want to work at, that will go top of the list, that will get mentioned in there. If it's a photographer I want to work with, that will get mentioned in there. If it's something like that, if there's something key about it, about the inquiry, I'll do my best to sort of bring that back to it and say, that sounds interesting, let's work on that.
What's the dream inquiry then?
Dream inquiry is really good budget, really good planner, headser, in the summer, with a Vera Wang dress.
Oh, well, there you've heard it there, everyone, if that's you.
So it doesn't take much to make me happy, really.
And then you can swing by for a cup of tea, because I live about 10 minutes from Headser.
You can't have a clear at midnight. Yeah, absolutely.
So let's shift to people who are starting out their wedding business right now. Obviously, we're recording this in March 2021, so we've had a little bit of a different year, a little bit of a statement there. But that aside, what advice would you give to someone who's just starting out on their journey of running a wedding business?
Okay, any kind of wedding business, not just floristry, I suppose, because you're all at the beginning, you're all at the same kind of sort of level. I would follow, if we're talking about things like Instagram, Facebook, those kind of collective things, I would follow and seek out people that you like. You don't have to interact with them straight away. Follow the right people, get inspiration, comment on their things. Don't just follow them and that's it, and watch and stalk. Comment on things, interact with them. You'll find people that way. Put yourself up for doing shoots if you can do, through other people. Suggest it. If you're a photographer, it's easy, because you can go to people and you can say, look, I'm the key thing, let's pull something together. If not, go to a planner or go to a photographer and say, I can provide X. If you're doing a shoot sometime, I'd love to do something. But again, do it to the right people. and do it for the right reasons. You're going to get images out of that to use. So make sure they are right, because it's going to cost you money to do it in some way. So make sure any connections you make, any images you get, any visuals you make are the right ones, because otherwise it would be a waste of time. So connect with people. When we can get back to seeing people again and talking to people in person and hugging and everything else, then go out, see people, make connections, but make more of them. Just interact, and think of things that you can do to write blogs about people, invite people to do a guest blog on your blog if you have one, write about different other aspects of the wedding industry, and interview, if you like, those people. So do a spotlight on photographers or something. So talk about bring people into, get people to know what you do and find out what they do as well, and just kind of, it might be swapping services for a photographer for cake, or photographer for flowers, or flowers and cake, or whatever it might be. Try and sort of interact with people and swap services where it's not going to cost you money, but it might cost you a thing. But get together with people and just see what you can do. Just make connections.
Yeah, I think
and with venues as well. I haven't mentioned venues, but they are even more crucial. If you can get on with some venues, get onto their lists. Some ask for commission these days. Now that's always a bit of a difficult thing, which I don't think is very right, but that's just me. But see if you can make contact with venues and the people that work there. Be there for them. If they say, if they've got a last minute thing, if they can do a shoot there, get on their list, get to know them, get them to know you and what you do.
Yeah. Relationships basically is the answer to that one.
Yeah.
And I think
it always all comes back to.
Yeah. I think you're really good at it as well. I think you're really good. I'm amazed. Like, everyone knows who you are, Liz. Seriously, you are clearly a very good relationship builder, because
thank you.
You've got so many friends in the industry. I mean, it speaks for itself. And I think the two go hand in hand. You're clearly, like, when I see stuff on your Instagram grid, I know it's you. You have that signature look. Like, I just know your work now.
I never thought I did.
Well, you do, for sure.
I finally realised I do, but it took me a long time.
But like, so there's that you're clearly exceptional at what you do, but on the flip side of it, you're a people person, and I just think, I think it's invaluable, that advice that you've given today, to really tune into how you can, in your own way, build relationships with people, because it is key. If you're sat at home on your hands, not feeling brave enough, or thinking, well, I'll do that when I've got more experience, or I'll do that when I'm whatever, you're going to be waiting a long time, aren't you?
Yeah. It takes a long time. I mean, there's one particular planner who I'm not going to name it, but I spent, because I knew that she did really high-end weddings, really big weddings, really not necessarily expensive, but just special. And I thought, I want to do those kind of weddings. And I targeted her, and we'd interact on it on Instagram, and then we had tea once, then we had tea another. We had it was like 3 dates until something happened, and then she said, I'm doing a shoot. And I went, oh great, you should, yeah, I think you'd be perfect for it. So we did a shoot, and then there was a paid shoot that somebody had asked her to do. So she'd write, I want you to do that for me. And then there was a wedding, and it was the biggest wedding that I'd ever done. So, and that was because she knew I was right for that. There was other people that she'd used in between times, but she knew I was right for that particular job.
Yeah.
And with a planner, you don't expect to get every job they do, but you want to get the right one, the one that's right for you. Yeah.
Great advice. Absolutely brilliant. Last question, Liz. You I know, I want to say it. You're a member of the Wedding Business Club. You mentioned it earlier. Tell us a very valuable one as well, Liz. Thank you for being a member of our club. Tell us about your experience of it.
I've done various things with you, various coaching things in the past, and hands up, I am not very good at showing up to lots of things. I do apologize, because I don't work from home. I do at the moment, but sometimes, but I don't tend to work from home. So being somewhere at a certain time, even if it's every week, is sometimes difficult. The Wi-Fi in my workshop's appalling. So if it's there, that's the one where I'm sort of at half an hour. So I don't always show up, but when I do, I really appreciate it. And I sometimes listen while I'm doing something in the background, and it's there and it's going in. What I find about what you do, what you manage to, this is the Faye and Liz Appreciation Club here. What I love about what you do is that you pull people together, you inspire them, and you pull them together to make them realize they can do what they kind of know they can do, but they need somebody to tell them they can do it. And it's okay to do it, and trust that you can do it because you know you can do it. So it's that, and that's what we all need. You know, we all need somebody to tell us, yeah, you are good, yeah, that's good, yeah, that's great, you know, actually you need to do that a little bit differently, but yeah, it's brilliant, you're getting there. That's what we all need. And I think as you become an adult, you think, I don't need that. I don't need that. That's school. I don't need school anymore. I'm grown up. I know how to do things. But you don't sometimes. You need somebody to tell you, just hold your hand metaphorically through the screen to say, you can do that. Just do it. Just jump. You know, and there was one thing you said once, you know, or one of your speakers actually, I think once, and you reiterated, don't wait until you think you're ready, because by then you're past ready. You have to just kind of get out there and do it and try. And then people may not notice the first few times that you've tried something and fallen over, but eventually they will notice. But if you wait until you think everything's perfect, website's done, that's done, my cards are ready, everything's right, I'm ready to go now. It's like you've still got to find people. Yeah. They're not just going to suddenly go, oh, you're there. You know, you've got to get out there and do it. And I think that's what that community of the Wedding Business Club does. It just encourages you to make those relationships, make those connections, make that network work for you. And it just shows you that anything's possible. Everything's possible.
Everything is possible. Oh, I love that. And metaphorically holding your hand always. Can't wait to give you a massive hug, Liz. Thank you so much. I mean, there's just so much that you've said in there that's going to be so
it's a bit mind-blowing, isn't it? I do talk a lot.
No, I love you for it. And I'm so glad you came to chat, because genuinely there's so much good stuff in there. It's refreshing for people to see you, you know, that you're a stage along from many people, but it's so lovely to hear that you went through all the same things. You felt the same way, but you showed up, you did it, and you're doing it and loving it. And for that, I'm very grateful. So thank you so much, Liz.
Pleasure. Thank you. Thank you for having me.